Welcome to day 288 of our DeSo journey. I'm Ed Krasenstein, here with my twin brother, Brian. And remember, these videos are being sponsored by DeSocial World. DeSocial World, they're in the process of adding two new feeds to their website, the hot feed and their Newbies feed. And currently they're testing them in a test site. I had the opportunity to check them out, and I really love the idea of the Newbies feed because you can see new people on the platform. Like we said yesterday, it's people who have been new on the platform between 3 and 10 days. So it's a great way to discover new creators on DeSo. It's coming probably within the next couple of days. Be sure to check it out on DeSocial World when it does. So yesterday was a big day, Brian. We had the announcement of DeSo DAO. It was kind of like an unofficial announcement. It was a post on GitHub that we discovered thanks to Tyne, Matreshka, and Zordan. But it's a huge thing that's, I think, can change the landscape on DeSo quite a bit.
Yeah, so we all knew that they were coming. We knew that like a DRC20 like token, ERC20 like token called DRC20 maybe, it was coming. Natter basically posted on the GitHub yesterday the proposal for DeSo DAO coins. And DeSo DAO coins are going to operate similarly to ERC20 tokens if you're familiar with Ethereum and the token system on there. But they're going to be wrapped in this whole community. So that's going to be super powerful in my opinion. So you're going to be able to make posts and updates about your DAO. You're going to be able to have this entire social identity and get followers around this DAO. Now, DeSo DAO coins will be different from creator coins, whereas creator coins are sort of for creators and just general users of the DeSo blockchain. DeSo DAO coins are more for projects, companies, and systems like projects and companies to utilize a method to raise funds for governance and all of that. So they separate. And Natter actually put forth a few ways that he sees them playing out. He thinks that creators can either have, if you are going to run a DAO, you can have either a creator coin and a DeSo DAO coin, or you can close off your creator coin and then create a DeSo DAO coin. And he gave a whole rundown of how you could do that. You'd have to pre-announce that you're going to convert to a DeSo DAO coin. Then you'd have to set your founder reward to 100%. And then you mint the DAO coin, and then you'd provide the DAO coin to the creators, the owners of the creator coins. So he gave this rundown, but I think most importantly is how these DAO coins will function. Basically, like we mentioned, ERC20, they will be like that, except the computations and the actual smart contracts will have to likely be smart services, meaning they will be more centralized. We don't know exactly if Natter and the core team will implement new features from the protocol level or not. Sorry, I choked there. From the protocol level or not, meaning that maybe there will be the ability to have some additional on-chain features for these DAOs. But overall, I think a lot of it's going to rely on smart services, which are off-chain. And the computations for these contracts will take place off-chain as services.
I just want to interject a little bit. And you're talking about creator coins versus these DAO coins. And I think everybody has to realize this. So the creator coins are traded along a bonding curve. They're traded based on a formula. You're not actually trading them with other people when you're buying and selling them. You're just giving them back to the algorithm or taking them from the algorithm. Whereas DAO coins, essentially ERC-like 20 tokens, are actual coins that will be sold, and the price will be set by the creator. And then if they do trade in the open market, will be trading, you'd have to find a buyer if you want to sell, you'd have to find a seller if you want to buy. So they're completely different types of coins.
Yeah, and the DeSo blockchain, it will not support a secondary market for DAO coins since they are not traded along bonding curve, but smart services that spring up will. So the DeSo blockchain could easily support on-chain and an on-chain exchange for DAO coins, but they want to rely on third parties to create smart services that can do the same thing, which is interesting. And I like the idea of having third parties kind of work work the exchange part of things, because I think it gets a little bit too overwhelming on the blockchain if you do have something like that on chain. Nader also provided an example of like how a DAO coin could, I'm sorry, a DeSo DAO coin could be utilized. And he gave an example of like a Reddit-like clone project on the blockchain where each subreddit could actually be another DAO. So say if you're familiar with Reddit, maybe there's a politics subreddit, and that subreddit could actually be a DAO. So you could buy into that subreddit and own a portion of it and have the ability to govern that subreddit. Now, that money that subreddit brings in could be used to pay moderators. Maybe this political subreddit could have a purpose. Maybe they're looking to, I don't know, I mean, maybe it's a bad example, but maybe they're looking to end abortion. So they could use the money to fund projects that are seeking to go against abortion.
Bad example,
And
but I think another example would be something like, say you're really into saving trees and you create a Save the Trees subreddit, and you raise all this money from people who are interested in the same thing, and then that money can be decided by the DAO, by the owners of the DAO tokens, how you're going to invest that money. Maybe you're going to be planting trees in California. Maybe you're going to be helping notify people about why trees should be saved. Like there's so many different things you could do with it.
Yeah, and I hope that example isn't going to get a bunch of feedback, because I'm not saying I'm pro-life or pro-choice here. But yeah, so I think that DeSo DAOs are going to be unique. They're not going to be like traditional DAOs in that you're going to have much of the computations off the blockchain. We got some feedback from Hunter Paulson, who's always very, very critical of what the team's doing. Not saying that's a bad thing at all. And also Mubs, and I can read what Hunter said. Hunter said, "Nader and team, today you all delivered. You showed up for work, you got it done, and followed the process very, very well. My appreciation is unexplainable. Definitely a step in the right direction. Hopefully one of many to come." Hunter also went on, he posted about an hour-long video where he talks about the DeSo DAOs and how they function, what his thoughts are, how they stray from traditional DAOs. He dislikes the DAO coin name, but he says it's not too big of a deal, the naming of it, because he doesn't see DeSo DAOs as being decentralized, since a lot of the computation is off the chain. But he thinks that they're basically ERC20 tokens without on-chain utility abilities, which he's right, at least at this point. And then we don't know if the core team's going to add additional utility within the chain or not. But right now it looks like they're going to rely on off-chain smart services to kind of for governance and for how they play out and everything. Mubs also said DAO coins set up the ownership part of the DAO. For governance and other aspects, we need more core features, or we need to rely on less decentralized smart services, which is actually absolutely right. And he said, I don't think this is bad. Likely a DAO will operate with things off chain and will need trust anyway. So I think those were both good feedbacks. Now, if you are all of a sudden wanting to create your own DAO, I think you got to wait and kind of hear things out and see what Nader puts forth. There are, especially here in the United States, there are some legal issues that you'd probably have to deal with. And I mean, just creating a DAO, it's risky because you're going to take on risks yourself. Most legal framework in the United States would consider a DAO a general partnership. So even if you tried to create like an LLC or a corporation around the DAO, it likely wouldn't hold water. So if it is considered a general partnership, then you're kind of opening yourself up. It makes it pretty scary legally because every investor could theoretically be personally liable if there is a lawsuit or something like that. Whereas an LLC or a corporation or an LLP, it would protect members from personal liability.
Wyoming is a good, Wyoming has DAO LLCs. And I think they're the only state currently in the US that have the DAO LLCs, which essentially give you LLC protection for your DAO. So you get the limited liability with your DAO. So like say I invest in I know, so Supernovas, they're creating a DAO. They announced that yesterday. They talked about it in their chat room on Discord. And so say I invest in Supernova's DAO. I don't know what the laws are in Finland where they're based, but if they were based in the US and I invested and somebody sued Supernovas, I personally could lose some of my personal assets in a lawsuit. Given that they're based in Finland, I don't know, that's something completely different. But if you were to do it in Wyoming, you register in Wyoming, that would be limited liability. So my assets would be protected as an investor.
Yeah, and what Wyoming is doing, I think that's awesome, and I hope other states follow suit. They're creating these DAO native entities, which are like LLCs for DAOs. I'm not going to say the problem, but this is basically a partial solution because you still need to uphold the federal regulations and the federal laws regarding DAOs and investment vehicles. So right now, I believe that if you do have some sort of business that acts as an investment, I think you're limited to 2,000 investors. So, I mean, that puts kind of a cap on things. Although, I mean, 2,000 investors, that's quite substantial. There are some other reporting guidelines that you need to deal with that might not work out. So it's still a little tricky, but I think Natter will put forth some recommendations for people in the United States who want to create DAOs. And there's always the option to go to Switzerland or the Cayman Islands and create an entity there. And there are no really legal issues you'd have to deal with, at least not now, although I'm sure the regulators in those nations, those areas are also looking at ways to kind of make sure things operate.
Well, I don't know about the Cayman Islands, but maybe Switzerland.
Yeah, so I think overall, I'm really excited about what DAOs have to offer, DeSo DAOs have to offer. I think that we're still probably a month or two away from really seeing what we can do, because once DAOs roll out, you're going to need to see these smart services pop up, which are going to be able to link the DAOs to like actual utility. So I think DAOs will come forth shortly. And then I'm guessing we'll see a bunch of developers jump on and start creating applications and creating smart services that can kind of make DAOs function in a more worthwhile way.
Yeah, it's all very interesting. Should we move on? Yesterday on GitHub, I also discovered that Lazy Nina has posted screenshots, and this actually took place a few days ago, but I just discovered it, so we're going to talk about it today. Lazy Nina posted some screenshots about showcasing the buy now feature on NFTs, and basically, when you mint an NFT, you're going to have the option to enable the buy it now. And when you enable that, you can set a buy it now price. Now, you can do this at the same time as you're auctioning it off. So let's say I'm an artist and I have an NFT I want to sell, and I mint it and I want to make it an auction with a minimum bid of 1 DeSo. I could also have a buy it now price of 10 DeSo. So, I can allow the auction to run, let's say, for a week, but if somebody wants to just get it right away and not have to worry about being outbid, they could pay that 10 DeSo and they buy it now. You could also do it where you don't have it listed as an auction and you can just do a buy it now. So I think it's going to bring a lot of cool options to DeSo NFTs. I think it's going to be great for the clubhouse rooms where they have first bid wins. I think, you set a buy it now at a certain price. Whoever clicks that buy it now button first is going to win the NFT. And you as the artist don't have to worry about trying to figure out who bid first in order to reward them that NFT. This is something that happens a lot in clubhouse rooms.
Yeah, and I think it's a great tool for sellers, but I also think that buyers are going to really appreciate this. And I think that the volume of NFTs selling is going to skyrocket after this is implemented. And I mean, I know that there's several NFTs that I like, but they have a minimum bid and you don't know if you're going to get them. If you knew, hey, I can click the buy it now button and have it instantly. I mean, that's powerful. And I think buyers are going to eat this up.
Well, it's especially true. Like, say, for example, I want to bid on an NFT and the price is like 10 DeSo. That's a good amount of money. and I'm bidding with other people, and I bid 10, somebody else bids 11, I bid 12, and then there's no end date set for the auction, so you don't know when it's going to end. And then I'm outbid, somebody bids 13, and my bid's still there for 12. And then at some point, the person who outbid me cancels their bid, and I forget that I even have a bid in there, and I end up winning, and I'm like, oh crap, I forgot about that. So I think it's going to alleviate some of those misunderstandings, some of those people that forget that they have bids in. It's going to let you know that you can get it right now for a certain price. So I'm really excited about that.
Well, something else is that oftentimes there's an auction that might not end for days, and you might put in a bid, somebody else outbids you, and then that bid is actually tying up DeSo in your account, so you can't bid on anything else. Now, if you could remove that bid, and then the other person, there's a gap between the second bid and the highest bid, that other person might sometimes lower their bid. So it kind of protects a creator as well, because you have this buy it now. If somebody really wants it, they can use that buy it now feature.
Yeah, so also on GitHub yesterday, I discovered Olivier Ozu. He's very active on GitHub, and he contributes. He's also on DeSo. Made a suggestion about having a field for NFT thumbnails. This is because we're seeing more video and audio and 3D NFTs pop up, and even utility case NFTs. And he wants to separate the NFT thumbnail, which is a current image field, from the NFT payload, which would be an additional field that would be similar to like an AR weave content, as well as a standard content type field for automated playback, etc. So I think this is a good idea. Like, say, for example, you have an audio file you want to mint as an NFT, but you don't want that. You don't want the display of that, the thumbnail on NFT marketplaces like NFTZ.zone or Supernova or Polygram to look like just an audio, like a music sign or something, like whatever the default sign is they use for audio files. The ability to put maybe a screenshot cover art or anything there to kind of represent that music or that podcast or whatever audio file you're minting. I think the ability to have a separate thumbnail from what the content is would be a great way to kind of help musicians differentiate their music from others. I think it's something that should be worked on. Right now we have the unlockable content, but that's kind of sketchy because there's issues with unlockable content on DeSo right now. It doesn't really transfer when you resell it unless you decide to transfer it. And there's other issues with that. So I like the idea. We'll see if it gains any traction, but definitely check that out on GitHub and give your feedback.
Yeah, I love it too. I think that as we move forward, it's going to be more than just art. So I think having options is important.
So there's a DeSo community event next week, I believe, on Wednesday with Natter, right? Is it with Natter?
I think it is.
Yeah, so the DeSo official DeSo account at DeSo, they're asking people to reply to a post they made yesterday with questions and topics that they want to see addressed in this community event. And DeSo Voices, the people at DeSo Voices will be collecting the responses and ranking them based on like how many people like that response, how many times that question was asked, etc. And then the top 10 questions will be posted on chain next week. And they say Natter will answer the most popular questions in the second half of the town hall.
Yeah, so the town hall is actually on the 12th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, and Natter is the focus of that town hall.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. And so we're going to get some questions answered. If you have any questions you want to ask, be sure to post them there in that thread. I know Tynes asked a bunch. I know there's a bunch of people who have posted several questions, and they're all good questions. No question is a bad question. So yesterday, I guess it was yesterday or early this morning, What's My Gas went live. You want to talk about that, Brian?
Yeah, so What's My Gas? It's a new account. All you have to do is make a post and tag What's My Gas. So at What's My Gas in the post. We're going to tag it in this video post, so it's going to be interesting. But when they're tagged, you get a reply to that post that they're tagged in, and it will tell you how much gas you've spent thus far. And they actually have they have a whole, I guess you could say, roadmap to what they're going to be doing. And I can quickly read this to you. I'm sorry, I'm just doing this as a, what's my guess?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Um,
I have it in our notes. If you read our notes, Brian, do you ever read my notes? It
right.
says
So let me read this for coming soon, per transaction type. So you're going to be able to see what's my gas per transaction type. Request for other users. So I'm guessing you're going to be see what's Tyne's gas, what is Paul Burke's gas, and I don't mean that kind of gas,
Tyne
and
has
more.
Tyne has
So
Tyne has surprisingly low gas. I remember seeing this a while ago.
he's not very gassy, I guess.
Not very gassy.
Yeah, so I think it's a good idea. I know that the core team put forth the idea of like being able to see how much gas we're spending. I know we've spent like nothing. Like we've had like thousands and thousands and thousands of transactions. And I think we spent maybe like $40 or something. Uh, it's super cheap. It's like almost not even worth checking because it's almost nothing.
But I mean, it is a great comparison to show people in Ethereum or Solana
Right.
that, hey, look, if you come over here, there's essentially no gas fees. And it's a great example for why decentralized social media works best on DeSo, at least up until this point.
Right.
So I think that's all we have for today. And everybody have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.